Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Adventures in Truth livecast. My name is Jim Case. Welcome to the show. So excited that you're here. I hope you're watching us live on Facebook. We kind of got our Facebook window out there as far as we can get it. If you're at Adventures in Truth on Facebook, you can interact with the show. So please feel free to shoot us a question or ask a comment of myself and my guest today. My guest today on the show is Cyndi Dale. She's back for another hour of amazing conversation. I'm super excited to have her here. And we're going to talk today about new normal. I know there's been a lot of conversation about where things are going. And I think the thing that we're hearing a lot on a regular is, when are things going to get back to normal? And I am a firm believer that I don't think that's going to happen, at least not the way it was. And so we thought, what a great conversation to have, where we can offer tips and tools about how do we approach this new normal, and how can we walk into this keeping our energy sane and keeping our energy stable and being able to focus in the directions that we want to focus in and create the things we want to create. Because ultimately, I think that's why we get to experience this right now. And I know a lot of us are probably challenged with the idea that we get to experience this. But I think it's an important thing, an important shift. And maybe tip number one here in understanding how to deal with the new normal is that it's coming, and let's get in line with it, or get in alignment with it. But that alignment doesn't mean you have to be doing something you don't want to be doing. It means getting in alignment with a change that is not going to go backwards, but is going to go forwards. So we're going to talk about that a lot. We're going to get into all kinds of fun stuff. And throughout the show, we're going to be talking about tools and tips, which is something that Cyndi is amazing with, helping us to understand our energy and how do we use it, how do we work with it. So in line with that, my first tip or my first tool that I would like to suggest here is changing your relationship with fear. And so what I'm going to offer you today is what you can see here in my book, Fear's a Choice: Unraveling the Illusion of Our Separation from Love. And I think this is an amazing tool because it will change your relationship with fear, because understanding how you interact with fear, understanding how fear has been brought into your experience and how you're using it in your life and how it's being used in your life are very important. And the book helps to really unravel that in a very powerful way, with lots of examples and ways that you can relate to and see into your own life in the course of reading the book. And that, to me, is the most impactful piece, is as you're reading, you can reference to things that I've experienced that I think many people experience. And then, of course, the end result is changing the relationship with fear, learning how to shift your state, increase your vibration, however you want to call that, however you want to look at it, to really evolve where you are and where you want to go in this time and in this time that we get to live. So www.adventuresintruth.com, you can check out ordering for the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or what's the other one? Yeah, I'll remember, Amazon. I said that already. So Kindle, thank you. So with that, I really want to encourage all of us to take a deep breath, and let's look at this from a much broader perspective. Let's look at this from the energy perspective, so that we can take the emotion out of it. We can take the story out of it. We can look at it in a very clear fashion and take steps and use tools to help us move and progress in this in a way that we get to tap into our own joy. So we're going to do that in just a second. Bear with me. We'll be right back on the other side, and we'll bring Cyndi in to come play with us. All right. We'll see you in a second. All right, welcome back. I'm going to pop this up here real quick while I talk about Cyndi, and then we'll bring her in. So Cyndi, if you didn't get to meet her or haven't met her before, Cyndi's an internationally renowned author, speaker, healer, and business consultant, and the author of 27 books about energy medicine, intuition, and spirituality. In addition, she's worked with over 70,000 clients and presented hundreds of seminars and workshops across America and Russia and England and Wales and Amsterdam and 100,000 other places. She's also a favorite teacher and healer for China, leading in-person and online classes, and has been published in over 17 languages. Her most recent book, is that the most recent one? She's got the subtle body, and an encyclopedia of your energetic anatomy, which is incredible. Energy wellness for your pets, and there's a ton of other great things. You can check out Cyndi at cindydale.com. And I am going to welcome her into the studio. Hi, Cyndi. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. Yes, you were showing my most recent book, which has been very well timed. It's about stress and trauma and what we're moving through to get to better places. Right, Jim?
Mm-hmm. And then I was telling Cyndi, I was reading some of her book, and one of the things that I love about this particular venue, as it were, is I get to meet a ton of amazing people, but we all come from such different and varied backgrounds, and we have different experiences, and our evolution has been different. And it's so cool when you're reading something and you're getting the concepts, but the language is different because it's coming from a different source. And so it's just amazing to go, okay, I get this. So how does this translate? Oh, and it becomes this excitement at all of the different ways and all of the different people that are showing up, doing their part in this process of bringing greater energy onto the planet, bringing more love into the planet, bringing more clarity onto the planet. And I'm just thrilled that you're here and excited to have our conversation about this new normal.
Well, and I love the word new normal because
I do too.
We're not there yet. And it's not that we're going to go toward abnormal. We're going to, it's that story of the butterfly, that little caterpillar in the cocoon, 6% of all its cells are destroyed. And then what lives but the imaginal discs, the imaginal cells, those make the wings and establish new dreams. And now you can reach new heights. And we're feeling a little mushed up right now. I know that, a little beaten up, mm-hmm. And it is the cost. It's not fun, but it's the cost for letting our greater selves, I think, grow up and mature.
Yes, I agree. I had a really profound experience that I think really dovetails with this very nicely. And that is, you talk about the butterfly and the complete disintegration, but the cool thing about a butterfly is I don't think the butterfly anticipates its process. I think it goes day to day, moment to moment through the process. And I had a visceral experience of this, which I don't recall having before, about being present in the moment. I was giving myself some guff and some grief about feeling frustrated about what am I doing next, and what am I going to do with what I'm got, and what am I going to go with what I'm doing. And I'd been there for a day or two, and I was in meditation, and as I came out of it, I just had this experience of realizing that I'm exactly where I want to be, doing exactly what I want to do, because it's what I'm doing. I don't know if this makes sense, but it's because it's what I'm doing. If I wanted to do something else, I would already be doing it. I'm not. So where I am is exactly where I want to be. And I say that from the perspective of understanding that when we live in the future or live in the past, we are not in the present moment. And the only place creation can occur is in the present moment. So the idea of experiencing this construct of, I can leave myself alone because the only reason I'm thinking those thoughts is because I'm not being present in my now. And then you layer this appreciation process. Here are tips and tools, guys. Keep listening. So as you layer appreciation on top of that, you're appreciating the moment that you're living. And you may be appreciating things that have occurred recently. When you go into an appreciation place, I do anyway. I think about the interactions I've had. I think about the feelings I've had, the people that I got to talk to, the things that I get to do. But that level of appreciation grounds me in now. And then in the moment, there may be nothing to do with anything else, because in now it's a full experience. And I've been denying myself the full experience because I've been beating myself thinking I'm not doing enough. And enough means I'm not in the present moment. Are we following along with that?
It makes so much sense. And appreciation and gratitude, I can understand how those hold you in that beautiful kind of illuminated bubble of right now. It
Yes.
makes you healthier too. I mean, there's so many studies that when you're hopeful, it's something like 50 to 70% greater chance of a
Mhm.
potentially tough situation actually working out. Same with optimism. Gratitude gets your whole, body healthier, and frankly, people like you better.
I think that's true.
Right? You got more friends. People are going to help you better. People who are
Yes.
grateful people make more money. But it's just because your heart's open. You're here, you're now. I work with this concept called energetic anxiety and depression, and we'll probably talk about it later. But if you're too far ahead of yourself, you're going to be anxious.
Mhm.
If you're too far in back of yourself, you're back in history, you're going to be depressed. You're going to feel
Yes.
more depressed. So the only place to hold yourself, you used the word already earlier, is in alignment. It's in the line of the present moment.
Beautiful. What a great way to start the show. And we're going to take a moment now because once we get this concept out and we want everybody to be in line with us. So what I like to do is take a moment to focus us. And so we're going to take a minute here and do a little meditation to kind of bring all of our energies together, because in my experience, where two or more are gathered always creates incredible outcomes. And so having us all kind of in the same field, I think whether you're here, whether you're talking to us or not, your energy is contributing to helping us flesh out the things that are going to be most valuable to you, and most valuable to everybody listening. So let's take a minute and do that. And I'm going to send you back to the green room, Cyndi. We'll be back right after this. All right, guys. Let's take a minute here. We're going to start first, just get comfortable in your body wherever you are. Hopefully you're in a chair or on a couch or sitting on the floor or on a mat somewhere. And just let yourself become comfortable in the spot that you're in. Just, moving the body around a little bit, just getting settled in. And let your eyes gently close. Please don't close your eyes if you're driving. But if you're able to, close your eyes and just take yourself internal. And what I want you to do to start with is just become aware of where your consciousness is right now. What are you attending to right now, this moment? Just become aware. There's no judgment. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just becoming aware. So as you become aware of your field, of your energy, of your experience, what are you attending to? What are the things that are talking to you as I'm talking to you? Are you hearing dogs bark? Are you trying to resolve a relationship issue? Are you thinking about work? Are you thinking about your next project? Are you thinking about my words? Where is your focus? And just become aware of it again, not with judgment, just with awareness. Notice how many places your awareness is right now. And notice that it's likely it's very likely not limited to one place. And now what I want you to do is I want you to focus all of that awareness, and I want you to bring that awareness into your body completely, 100%, no external stimulation, as best as possible. Consciously command or call or bring your field into your heart, into your chest. Bring it all into your body. And as you feel that energy fill you, you should feel a warming sensation, maybe even a little tingle. If you feel a little discomfort, that's okay too. You may not be used to feeling the inside of your body. And I want you to allow that consciousness now to explore the inside of your experience, the inside of your head and around your brain, behind your eyes. Feel the awareness as it moves through your neck and in the muscles of the neck and all of the tissue that's there into the shoulders. And just notice again from the inside, how does it feel? Do you have tension anywhere in there? If you do, just focus a little awareness and breath and just take a deep breath into it and just let it go. And let the awareness continue to move through your torso, through all of the organs in your body, down through your hips, feeling through your legs and along your spine, through your knees, down your calves, into your feet. And now feel your consciousness fully embodied right now. What does it feel like? How does it feel? Just be in that experience for just a second. And now refocus one more time. This time, I want you to pull all of that awareness into your breath. We're going to do a counted breathing process for just a minute here. And the reason we're going to do the breath is that part of the foundation of wellness, from my experience, is managing breath. We tend to breathe unconsciously. And while that keeps us alive on the planet, it doesn't help us manage our energy. And another tip here, if you can learn to manage the breath, you can create monumental changes to your experience when you learn how to use the breath. The breath is chi, prana, life force. It is what animates us. It is what brings new life and energy. So we're going to use the breath to build an energy field. We're going to use the breath to expand and uplift our energy to a different vibration. That's what we call a state shift, to bring us to a new level of awareness. So we're going to breathe into a count of 4. We're going to hold that at the top for a moment, feeling full, and then we're going to release from the mouth to a count of 6. And we do that so that we can purge all of the old energy and air out of the deepest part of the lungs, so that when we take in that new breath, it's fresh, it's pure, it's clean, it's new energy, and we do it all again. But when we get to the bottom, once you've drained it all out, I want you to rest in the emptiness, because it's just as miraculous there as it is in the fullness. So let's begin that process, feeling comfortable where you are, keeping the awareness in your breath as completely 100% in the breath and listening to my voice. And we're going to inhale to a count of 4. Inhaling, 2, 3, 4, and then we're holding and resting at the top for just a moment. And now we're going to purge out of the mouth. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we're going to rest at the bottom in the void. Engage the lungs. Begin the inhale. 2, filling. 3, all the way up. 4, feeling that rich fullness, resting in it. And now releasing, surrendering it all. Exhaling, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as we rest into the quiet, into the emptiness. And again, we re-engage, opening up, taking in air, filling completely, filling a 360-degree expansion as you reach the top, resting in that feeling. And now releasing again from the mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as we rest in the bottom and feel the release and freedom in the emptiness. And now continue on your own. Same count, inhaling to 4, feeling yourself full as you get all the way to 4, and then resting, relaxing the shoulders and the back and the neck, and then letting that energy go. 1, 2, letting it go all the way to a count of 6, purging as deeply as you can, and then relaxing in the emptiness. And continuing on for another couple cycles. And as you do, allow these words to just sort of flood over your consciousness. Accept them and use them as you will. Let them move through you. And continue to breathe. I am the evolution of God realized as matter. I inform and guide that expression as the pure expression of God. I show up as God. I connect as God. I align as God. I am creation realized. And from that, I create, expand, and engage. I am. Feel that powerful breath as it fills you. Be in that space. Simply be in this moment. Right here, right now. And now I want you to consciously allow your awareness to expand back outside of your physical body. Just observe it, watch it as it just gently, the field expands at your command, at your desire. Let it expand and allow your conscious awareness to come back into the space as we bring Cyndi back in. We will continue on with our amazing adventure today. And away we go. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back.
Oh, that's wonderful. You had given me the option of leading the quiet time, and I thought, no. I know what Jim has to offer. I just feel like a new person. It's so reinvigorating and calming at the same time, Jim. Thank you.
Fantastic. My pleasure. And thank you. I appreciate that. So here we go. Tips and tools for stabilizing and managing all the new energy. So I think it's important to start this. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. I alluded to it at the beginning. I'm calling it the new normal alert. I have to laugh when I do these segments because they always show up for me, usually in these funny little cartoon pictures. So like I'll think, new normal alert, and I'm seeing some goofy cartoon character who's running around with a sign going, new normal alert, So it amuses me, but I don't know what the point of it is in the end. But so here's the thing, guys. We are in a tremendous period of change, unlike anything I've experienced in 56 years. And I've been through quite a bit. I've never experienced what we're experiencing before. And I find personally, it's kind of frustrating and it kind of gets under my skin a little bit when I hear people talking about, can we just get back to normal, please? Can we just go back to what was before? And I'm like, what are you thinking? Why would you want to do that? The place we were in was okay at best. It wasn't fulfilling most of us. So here we have this incredible opportunity to dive into ourselves in a way that we've never had before, like the universe giving us 100% permission to go inside without distraction, without noise, just explore. And that's where the new normal is going to come from, because we're going to start to choose differently because we can, because we're not stuck in the old paradigm. It's not there anymore. It's gone. Like now it's gone. It doesn't exist. And that's a hard thing, I think, for people to grasp. Cyndi, what do you think about that? What is it that you think holds us to this need for going backwards?
Well, I know it's false security.
Yeah.
We got that sort of human way of looking back and only looking at the high points, not all the bumps. And, I learned this years ago. My mom has been dead for about 1.5 years. She died when she was 91. When she was 86, I helped her write her book. She'd been working on essays on growing up in the Depression in North Dakota for probably 30 years. She'd been working on these essays. And I was like, Mom, you're going to die not that far from now. If you're going to get this book done, it's time to get it done. Yeah. And so I forced her. To finish the essays, wrap them up, get them in a book, put them out there. And every time I would come over for like 6 months, she would say, oh, you're the mean daughter. Well, I'm the only one who's I'm like, yes, I'm the mean daughter, right? But it was interesting because when, for instance, her sister, my aunt, read the essays, she said, she really remembers things on a more positive vibe than they actually were. My mom had colored them. She remembered a few, of the tough times, this person almost dying, or this person, kind of getting caught with the locusts and this and that. But you know what? There was this faint sort of saccharine in it. The writing was beautiful, but you knew it was worse than that. And we color going backwards, and then we put the black. Then we project black going forwards. It's just, if it can't be what it was, it's not going to be any good. We just think it's all going to be darkness. I think it's how we just want to rush back to the corners that we used to live.
I think that's so interesting, and I got to share another piece of something that struck me a couple of weeks ago about this pandemic situation, in relation to what you were just sharing about your mom. And that is our perception of, and I found this to myself because I realized as I was contemplating, I'm living in a time of a pandemic. That's a big deal. But why doesn't, I mean, it feels like a big deal, but at the same time, in my little world here, it's relatively mellow. But what I realized is that the only connection that probably 95% of us can have to the Spanish flu epidemic in the early 1900s are black and white pictures of death and destruction. There are no color pictures. There is no experience. They didn't live in black and white. They lived like we are. They full color, full experience. And so this going back to what, the fear is being generated because all we know are black and white pictures of horrible things that people, apparently horrible things. But just by virtue of the pictures being black and white, we already add that element of drama to the experience. So we have no relationship to this thing. And yet we all want to act like we do. And then we want to have opinions and we want to have viewpoints. And of course, we're humans. We're going to have opinions and viewpoints. But we've taken it to an extreme where, again, we're not being in the present moment. We're being in the fear of the future, conspiracy theories, the fear of the past, pandemic destruction. There's no really good way to go here, it appears. But there isn't when you're not in now.
It's true. It's true. And the truth is history never repeats itself. Mm-hmm. It doesn't, whether it was, we're fashioning it to be better than it was, or we're just going, oh my gosh, doom and gloom and destruction of this and another atom bomb or whatever. History never repeats. I mean, I'm moving my hand and I've become a different person by the time my hand assumes a new place. And we don't know the future, which is a big thing for someone like me to say, because I'm an intuitive. And a lot of times people want me to see the future. I'm clairvoyant. I get images. I have a funny story. I have one gentleman who called me a few years ago and he said, do you remember me? I go, no. But he said, well, I called you 5 years before. And you had told me that I was going to find myself in Manhattan on the ferry, going to a job in banking, and I would hate it. And I thought you were crazy because at that time I was a chef and I lived in, Massachusetts with my lover, with whom, I've since been able to get married. And we moved to London and I went to the School of Business and we moved back to New York. So I went into banking. He's going, how did all that happen? So how can I contradict myself? There's things in the future, there's events in the future that I think are destined. By far, most isn't. Most of what's out there is possibilities and probabilities. And typically what is destined are expressions of who we really are. But who we really are is who we are right now. It's who we are now. It's not who we're going to be. Right. It's a different way of looking at ourselves or living ourselves, but it's all about our immortal selves. I think we have to go back to our infinite selves. We go in to get to our spirit. We go in to get to our essence. That will help us open up the future a step at a time.
Yes. We are 7.5 billion unique sparks of the divine. And when I think of that, and this was another one that happened a couple of weeks ago where I just went, wait a second, we're 7.5 billion unique. No two are the same. No two are alike. We all bring that divine light to this planet at this time. 7.5 billion unique sparks of light on this planet in this moment to create momentum, to create change, whatever that may look like. And there are those of us like you and I who are dialed in from a very clear perspective, and we want to see people step into that potential, because the paradigm that we've lived in, the normal that we've lived in, is not a normal that was constructed to support you and you and you and you and you. The new normal must be, if we want to really bring those 7.5 billion sparks of creation to their light, to their fullest light, to their greatest expression. Now, are we going to get there from here in my lifetime? I don't know. I don't know. What I do know is and this is another tip. And Cyndi, please feel free to interject tips and tools wherever you want to as you're talking. But for me, the tip is I lost it. I distracted myself and I lost it, but it will come back. It was a really good one. We're going to get there. The tip of
it's on the tip of your tongue. You know,
it is. It's right there. But go ahead. You go ahead and let's carry this gun and it'll come to me because I don't know where it went. It ran away.
Thoughts I had, where we've been, what we're leaving is sort of a strange combination of the industrial and the information ages. But the industrial age is all about, kind of making for institutions. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it just really benefited the rich. And I don't even think they benefited because some of them are my clients and they didn't seem any happier than anybody else either. Information is like information about what? Like, what's all this information for? Because ultimately, it is about who we are. I'm a bit of a science nerd. I love reading Scientific American and cosmology and the newest science breakthroughs. And this is going to lead to a tip, I promise. So one of the neatest findings I've been uncovering in journals about cosmology and the universe and dark energy and dark matter and what's all of this made out of, right? Mm-hmm. There actually is a light that exists in our evolving universe, in kind of this universe of opposites. There's a light called the absolute light. It predates the Big Bang. It's in frozen twists of light in the cosmos. It's in dark energy, which is, kind of reductionistic, and dark matter, which keeps opening things up. And that's most of the energy in this universe. It's in our bodies. This absolute light is in our bodies. It's in our melanin. I mean, it's in these wild places we don't think of actually in our bodies. And it's a very still kind of light that's absolute, that produces no harm. And I have been getting through and benefiting through the pandemic and all the racial riots and all the challenges and the political thises and the political that's, because I bring myself back in the center of my heart into that absolute light. I'm like, this is what we're really made out of. This is the spark of the divine that I am. This is what connects me to what I would call, and most spiritualities would call, spiritual qualities, right? The higher attributes, Plato's cave of forms, where it's just things like truth and love and what we're told we can't recreate on this planet, but we can recreate it because there really is this absolute light. So I make I make it a daily effort, a minute effort sometimes, to breathe it in, to perceive it, to try to perceive it around people, to use it in my meditation, because it informs who I really am. And then I'm in the present, Jim, like you're talking about. And then, whatever, it opens up the path too, opens it up in the most heavenly of all possible ways also.
I agree. It reminds me of my be, do, have model. It's actually not my model, but it's a model that I've believed and sort of lived in, which is we start in beingness, and out of beingness, we're inspired to do something. We don't create the how of doing something. When we do that, we're in resistance because we're deciding that, one, we know more than the entire universe, and secondly, that we're not giving ourselves permission to fully show up, because we've decided that where we are isn't enough. So I've got to do more. I've got to do more. I've got to do. And what I think is we don't have to do. What we do is we be. We learn how to be. And out of the beingness, you're inspired, as you were talking about. In beingness is where you find that light, is where you connect to it, is where you, like in the meditation today, you understand that you have the ability to shift and move your consciousness at will when you focus yourself. And so out of the doingness, then you create havingness. It is not a direct line from be to have, because you're inspired to action. That action leads you to the relationships, the people, the opportunities, whatever it is that's going to help you achieve the desire that started it to begin with. Out of beingness, which is where the desire started, in beingness. And I love that, the way you describe it, because it isn't I turn the switch on, so now I'm good forever. It is a daily, sometimes minute to minute sometimes hour to hour. When you're inundated with things, you have to be able to respond to them. And if you're in reaction, you're not in the now. You're somewhere else. So getting to that point of you're finding that unique spark within you, that settled place where you can sit in there and know that, okay, I can be right now. And I'm going to allow this beingness to expand so that I can be informed of how to step forward in this place that I'm feeling. And I can be more comfortable, and I can be more aligned and more aware and present, so that then I'm dealing with things as they show up in front of me. I'm not reacting. I'm saying, oh, there's that. Do I need to attend to it? Not this time. This. Oh, yeah, I do need to attend to this. Let's put some energy here. And it becomes a whole other process. But that, to me, is where I think our new normal really starts to build its foundation. Because it's sourcing from us, through us, and in us. And then it's coming forward, as opposed to them out there deciding what it's going to look like and me figuring out how I'm going to enroll myself in their thought process.
Excellent. Choosing. It's the choice making too. I work with a lot of young people. And so, the tips that work best for them work the best for us older people too. Right? So, for instance, there's one that I use with students who are like, they tune into the environment when they're taking a test. Every single student in there is nervous and scared. So I'm like, cross your arms over what's called your third chakra in your stomach. It picks up on other people's feelings and thoughts, and you just deal with your own. But which is just, if you see people going like this, is because they're saying, I don't want to go where you're going. I want to stay where I am. Yes. But the other technique I use, because my youngest son is a baseball pitcher, so I work with a lot of baseball pitchers. Talk about pressure. You're standing on the mound. Half of everybody's against you. And unfortunately, frequently, sometimes the other pitchers are, so are the coaches. You throw that ball and then they're all going, oh my God, he's blowing it. Here we go. So there's a lot of negative out there, which we're all experiencing. A lot of negative out there. And what I tell these pitchers is, stay inside of your heart, stay inside of yourself, stay with that absolute. Picture light going all the way through you. I like gold. To me, that's kind of God power. Think of gold. And then you know what? You just need to have the positive in what you're doing when you start going down, the rat hole there, is you're tuning into the negatives around you. Why would you do that? There's going to be at least one person in the bleachers, if no one else, Gabriel's mom, around you going, you've got it. You can do it. This is your moment. You tune into the single positive out there. Even if you think there's only one positive, yes, that produces more positive in you. And you know what? You've got it. Your system's on fire. You're opening up. You're in the moment. You're not going, oh my gosh, what if I throw the next ball wrong? Because that's what they're doing. They're now projecting through one bad ball, going to do another. You just go, there's a positive out there. I'm doing the positive in me. This is me. I'm in this bubble and I've got it. It makes an incredible difference for these young people. It does.
We're going to dive more into that on the other side of the break. But I want to say to the end of that is that's really the essence of what this whole process is about, being here on the planet. It's not, we're not trying to promote the kumbaya moment, although there are lots of those that you can have. It is the reality of, we live in a complex energetic environment, and all of the energies that are moving around us, we are impacted by in some form or another. So learning how to stand in your truth, in your clarity, in your now, the tools that you're offering are invaluable. But the trick is understanding that it's something that you have to attend to every day. Because number one, you're building a new habit. Number two, you're building a new muscle. Number three, you probably haven't lived in this space. So you have no idea what it feels like and what the experience is. So you're in a learning curve. Be gentle with yourself about that. We're going to talk more about that after the break. When we come back, we're going to go to commercial. When we come back, Cyndi is going to talk to you guys and tell you all about what she's up to and get you all psyched up about the cool things that are coming down the pike with Cyndi. So we'll be back right after this break while I put my glasses on. Oh, all right, Miss Cyndi, the floor is yours.
Oh,
Everybody, this is Cyndi.
hi, everybody. I am Cyndi. I'm Cyndi in my basement. like most of us, I've kind of gone into a bit of a cocoon, and in my case, underground too, in order to reach out. So I have some very fun projects going. Some of them might be of interest to you. My last book that just came out, Energy Healing for, there you are, trauma, stress, and chronic illness. Perfectly timed for right now, and even our discussion, because it shows you how to open back up to who you really are. Heal from what has happened to you and go into the world with wings on. That's really the message of that book. I have a lot of classes. You can see them on cindydale.com. One is through the Shift Network. I'm helping people gather an energetic toolkit. So you can use energy tools to really create yourself and recreate yourself and keep on being that you really are. An apprenticeship program where we get to study for 9 months. What is energy? How do you work with it? How do you know what your gifts are? Because it's wonderful to talk about this on Jim's program. We're here, we're self, we are who we are. What do we do with who we are? What kind of gifts do we have hidden inside of ourselves? What intuitive or healing gifts or administrative abilities? This is really the time moving forward where we get to dust off what we haven't used for a while, kind of activate further those abilities that we already love using, and really find the ones that have maybe been hidden for, well, I believe in past lives, so centuries, and shine them and bring them out into the light. So cindydale.com, and you can see what I'm up to and how that might integrate into your lives too.
Fantastic. And I would go far as to say her latest book here, which I'll put up once again, is a great tool. This is a show about tips and tools, and here is a tool that you can avail yourself of that will help you begin to understand in a very deep way what's happening in your own field, in your own energy. And that's really where I want to go from here. Whoops. Trying to find my buttons today is just not an exciting thing. So to Cyndi's point that we just came back from, which is embracing your superpower. You know, we talked a little bit before the break about, and throughout the show, we're talking about how you can begin to identify your own energy, how you begin to feel into it. I love the expression, and I use this a lot, that I tell people to feel into their experience, because it keeps you in beingness and it keeps you present in the now. When you think into your experience, your brain and your mind are going to go into the subconscious and try to support you in your thought process by bringing forward lots of noise about this thing that you're attempting to do that you've never done before. So get into feeling into the experience first off. In feeling into it, you begin to feel the nuances of energy. When I was sharing the story earlier about my epiphany about that I'm exactly where I want to be, doing exactly what I want to do because that's what I'm doing. The experience of that was, I call it a visceral experience because it happens through and into my entire body, meaning it's this moment of like a wave that sort of flows through me. And I know in that moment I've encountered a piece of truth because it exhilarates my entire body. When you're in the head, you don't get there from here. You might have a good thought that makes you feel good for a second, but you don't have the full body experience. So moving into embracing the superpower, it's there. You are a spark of the divine. You are that. There is no dispute there. There's no question there, at least not in my life, in my world. So I'm seeing you that way. And I know Cyndi sees everyone she sees that way. I think it's critical to those of us that call ourselves teachers or healers that we see people in their greatest form. We're not looking at broken and messed up people. We're looking at a fully realized superpower that's standing in front of us, and that influence is amazing. And fortunately, we have the gifts of being able to reflect back. How do I see my superpower? How do I touch that? And so, how do we touch that, Cyndi? What are your thoughts about navigating in this place, in this energy field, to touching into that place of your superpower?
Yeah, and we all have at least one superpower. So I use, on an everyday basis, because you talked about how we need to see others as their illuminated self as well as us. I always use this very short exercise when I'm working with clients or interacting with my sons or kind of going to the grocery store. It's very quick. I always just affirm my own spirit, my essence. Other spirits are essences, and they can be visible or invisible beings, animals and plants and trees as people count too, and then I turn everything over to whatever you want to call it. I use the word greater spirit because it's inner spirit, outer spirits, upper spirit, whatever. And I try to live my life that way. And then my superpower is better able to unfold. And so, maybe everybody take a second, just affirm your spirit, know that there's spirits around you. And they're all here to help you, including Jim and myself. And my dog's Lucky and Honey, and you have a dog, and everybody else is helping right here. Michael, you're everybody. And then the greater spirit. And then just give permission from your heart for one of your superpowers, even if it's been hidden, to start unfolding. So I want you to just feel it, like just saying, feel into it. It may not come with words yet. It may not come in song and dance. It might start dancing around. You might see somebody in a top hat. You might get a vision or a picture, but you have the feeling of it. So now that that's more unlocked, it might feel very familiar. It might feel different. You know what? It's out of the box, though. It's out of the treasure chest. So let it guide you. I would say that too, Jim. Let your superpower guide you and watch me. Like, I was really great with that stranger, or I knew what that person was feeling, or I knew I went to donate clothes, and whoever needed the clothes, they were right there. I brought exactly what they needed. Extrapolate from the gift leading you. And I think you're going to know what it is.
As soon as you did that, my response was this lovely, warm giggle that came up through me. That, again, I wasn't expecting to have a response, because I'm thinking to myself as you're talking, this is such a great conversation because I'm still discovering my superpower. I feel like I'm in it, but I don't think I have it fully realized. And then you were continuing, and as you were continuing, then you said, bring it forward. And my heart just went here. It just made me giggle. And I love that. But that's guys, that's what it is. It's that subtle, it's that beautiful, it's that moment. The other thing that struck me as you were talking is it's such a simple guide to knowing if you're stepping into your superpower. When you go to engage, does your energy go up or does it go down? If your energy goes up, if you get bubbles, if you get that warmth that moves through you, jump in, both feet, head first, whatever, go for it, because that is where your superpower lie. If you go there and you find yourself going, wah, wah, just step back. That's not yours. It's okay. Those are okay. And it's okay to give yourself permission to recognize not everything is for me and not everything is about me. That's another key piece about this. That's been the story of my life. I waved my flag on that one. but it's not all about us. It's about we are 7.5 billion unique sparks of the divine interacting in a time and space environment that is loaded with all kinds of amazing energy. And so we have to find our own, and our own is in that space of feeling your way into it, I think. And I appreciate you aligning with that idea, but I think it's a powerful one. So in the few minutes that we have left, the last segment that I have, and this came from, I don't remember if I came with this or my friend Moshe came with this, but anyway, I love this WWLD. I know for a long time it was WWJD, and we're migrating that. Not because there's anything wrong with WWJD, just what would love do sort of keeps it in a more neutral place. That it's another tool, it's another way that you can, as Cyndi was talking about, shift yourself into that inner divinity, that inner light. What would love do here? If you're stepping in and you're feeling confused or fraught or not know, and you say, what would love do here? It will change you in that moment. I guarantee it. It will change you if you can allow that to flow through you. And in that moment, you will have clarity and you'll either step in or step out. But what would love do will guide that moment of beingness in my perception of this. What do you think of that?
Oh, I think that's gorgeous. In fact, it explains a little bit of what I was just going through before our wonderful talk. My youngest son, who's a baseball pitcher at college, and his girlfriend stopped by. They're going off to get tattoos tomorrow. Isn't that great?
That's awesome.
You know what I want for the holidays? And I want a new tattoo. I'm like, okay, it's very creative. And, I'm, as long as he's the one getting pricked, that's fine. But they came in the house, and my son's going to most likely, depending on what happens in the next few months, go off to the pros, or maybe he returns to school again next year, because none of us know. Talk about the times are a change, and we don't really know exactly what the future is going to look like. And so we were brainstorming, and we were saying, if you guys need to be living in my house, kind of how do we want to rearrange things? Where do we put the gym? Where do we put this? How do we do this? What space do you want? This and that and the other thing. And Lizzie, my son's girlfriend, was like, well, you should really have the best space because it's your house. And I was like, you know what? We're going to follow the energy up or down. We're going to decide based on where all our energies go upward. So what would love be doing here? Where do we go down? And we figured out how everything would look, not with our heads, with our hearts. It's like, what's best for each person. And it was amazingly simple because we were leading with love. Each of us wanted each other to have like the best of all scenarios, and weren't compromising either. They want privacy. My son needs his gym. Mom needs her books. Yeah. Right? And it was love. It can be very practical. That's what strikes me too, Jim, how practical it is.
It's wonderfully practical. And the other thing is that it's always, in my experience, it always ends in win-win. It may not be that everybody gets what they want, but energetically, everybody feels win-win. And I think that's extraordinary, because that's how we should resolve, is that all of the energies involved are getting what they need to satisfy them. So it's a win-win for everybody, instead of it being, oh, this is mine, this is yours. This is not about boundaries. This is understanding that we already understand boundaries. And this is a whole new level of that, because once you understand boundaries and you execute boundaries, they are no longer important. They don't matter.
You've got them.
Yeah, it's like, this is not what it is.
Yeah. But you don't need the moat. You don't need the moat. You got bridges. You don't need the moat.
Exactly. So the last piece of this, as we wind this down, that we have not talked about, that I really want to spend a minute on, is this new normal, and the reason that it's here, and the reason that it's the space that we're in, which I mean, what I'm trying to say there is, this is a period of huge not know. I don't know anyone, very few, and I don't know any, who can see past where we are. Some have some visions here and there, some have some clarity here and there, but I know in my own experience, because I too am able to kind of put myself in, project into futures to determine which direction I want to move in. And it's not there. What's there is right here, right now, because we are watching our foundation being shaken and broken and reconstructed. Actually, we're not even in the reconstruction yet. We're still in the deconstruction phase. But that deconstruction phase, the newness that's coming out of that, we have no experience with, guys. We don't have, at least here now, right now in our world, we are building that experience. And that's why I think this show is so important. And I'm so grateful that you're here, Cyndi, to talk about this energy and understanding that new normal is a period of huge not know. And so the safest place to go is inside and then feel your way outside instead of going outside and trying to fit it back inside. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I would add that what I hope we're deconstructing, along with some institutions and kind of crooked value systems or constructs that aren't working, it actually reminds me of the story of the Hopis and their first age, as written by Frank Waters in his book, The Book of the Hopis. The very first age on this planet, and some say there have been 4 ages, which end in cataclysm, and some say 5. The very first age was one, here's the plants, here's the animals, here's the seas, here's the sun, and then come the people. And we're to learn. And at that point, it is said we had one heart. We had a heart for goodness. We had a heart for creator. We had a heart for learning. We had a heart for exploring. We had a heart for being ourselves. And what shifted in that age is some people developed 2 hearts. And that second heart was a heart of darkness. And it was the heart, that got, I think, like we're saying, either too far in the past or too far in the future. It's the heart that wanted just for self, but also not for others, that thought that there was nothing to learn from what we were surrounded by the environment. I personally want to hope that that's what's being deconstructed, is that second heart. We just don't need it. We don't need it. It's not very useful. I think we can all testify to that.
We can. I was thinking before the show about the election, and I had a perspective about the 70 million people that vote, or 700 million, whatever it is, that voted for our current president. And I was having a viewpoint of that was largely negative, and it was really stressing me out, because I'm like, wow, there are that many people that think that consciousness is still okay. I don't know what to do with that. And that paradigm changed for me a couple days ago. And I realized that the thing that it strikes me is that there are that many people in our country that feel unseen. There are that many people in our country that feel that don't feel like they're anything, and don't feel like they're important, and don't feel like they matter. And I'm making up, maybe I'm making up some of that, but it to me sounds, because there's such clear division, I'm like, there's got to be a unifying thing here. And it's not being acknowledged. It's not being seen. It's not being, and so it's turned into something, as you were talking about, in this negative thing that it doesn't need to be, because we can cross over, because I think our desires ultimately are the same. Some of us have been given one story that we're buying, which is a victim story, and others are buying a different story, which is a creation story. And I want us to encourage that if we're creating, that we create huge space for those that are feeling that way to step out of that feeling. I can't make them. You can't make them. All we can do is provide an energetic space by our own work that helps us to get people to that place.
I completely agree. It's bridges.
Yes, bridges.
Let's not have these moats. Let's not have the walls. Let's do the bridges. Know who you are. You have to know who you are. You have to stay in your own heart of light. You don't want to develop a heart of darkness, which we get when we start judging people. I think that's perfect. It's sort of a victim versus creation, but we can all create together. That's what love would have us do.
Yes. What a great way to end the show. Thank you all for being here. We've run over just a little bit, but thank you all for your patience and for being here with us today. Cyndi, you're an amazing human being. I appreciate you being here and all of the wonderful tips and tools that you've provided for the listeners today. www.adventuresintruth.com. You can learn about the show. You can learn about my book. You can learn about the science of transformation. Cyndi Dale, www.cindydale.com. Check her out for her classes and for her books and for her speaking engagements and all the cool things she's got going on to help change our planet. And thank you all. Please like us, please subscribe, share, click the buttons, all that good stuff, and spread the word. We want to get this out to lots of people. And the more we do, the more we can continue to share this. So thank you for being here, Cyndi. Thank you for being here. I'll see you on the other side after I finish pushing my buttons one more time. And I appreciate you all very much. Have an amazing weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time on Adventures in Truth. Thanks, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Adventures in Truth podcast. Thank you for joining us. We'd love to connect with you. Please like us on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube. To learn more about Jim's book, Fear is a Choice, Unraveling the Illusion of Our Separation from Love, or to book a session with Jim, you can email us at adventuresintruth@gmail.com, or you can join us on the web at www.adventuresintruth.com. Tune in next time for another great Adventures in Truth podcast.